Harmony Ridge. The name itself evoked a sense of peace, of serenity. Nestled amidst rolling hills and whispering willows, it was the kind of town where people left their doors unlocked and children played freely in the streets. But that was before the darkness came, before the murders began, and the idyllic facade of Harmony Ridge shattered into a million pieces. The first whisper of unease began subtly, like a chill wind on a warm summer night. People spoke of strange occurrences, shadows lurking in the periphery, a sense of being watched. Then came the discovery, brutal and chilling, that plunged Harmony Ridge into a nightmare. The peace was gone, replaced by a fear that clung to the town like morning mist. Emily Rose. A beloved schoolteacher, known for her gentle nature and her love for her rose garden. She spent countless hours nurturing her roses, each bloom a testament to her dedication and care. Her students adored her, and the community respected her. Emily's garden was not just a hobby, it was her sanctuary, a place where she found peace and solace. It was in that very garden, amongst the fragrant blooms she so cherished, that she felt most alive. The vibrant colors and sweet scents were a reflection of her own vibrant spirit. But tragically, it was also in this garden that her life was cruelly cut short. The once serene and beautiful garden became the backdrop for a horrifying scene. The petals that once symbolized life and beauty now lay scattered, broken, and trampled. Discovered by her neighbor one sun-drenched morning, her lifeless eyes stared up at the cloudless sky. The tranquility of the morning was shattered by the chilling discovery. Emily's body lay motionless among the roses she loved so dearly. Her once vibrant life drained away, leaving behind a cold emptiness that sent chills down the spines of even the most hardened officers. The garden, once a place of joy and life, was now a crime scene, marked by police tape and the somber presence of investigators. The news of her death spread through Harmony Ridge like wildfire. The small town, known for its close-knit community and peaceful existence, was rocked to its core. Whispers and rumors began to circulate, each more horrifying than the last. Disbelief, shock, and then a creeping, insidious fear began to take root. The townspeople, who once felt safe and secure, now looked over their shoulders, wondering who among them could be capable of such a heinous act. Who could have committed such a heinous act in their peaceful town? And why Emily Rose? The questions haunted the community, and the search for answers became a desperate quest for justice. The questions hung heavy in the air, unanswered and unsettling. The once vibrant town of Harmony Ridge was now cloaked in a veil of mystery and fear as the search for the truth continued. As the days turned into weeks, the fear in Harmony Ridge intensified. It wasn't just the shock of Emily Rose's murder, it was the eerie silence that followed. The killer had vanished, leaving no trace except for a single word, scrawled in elegant cursive on a piece of paper left near Emily's body: forgiveness. Then came another murder. This time it was the town's former mayor, a man known for his ruthlessness in business. He was found in his home, a single gunshot wound to the head. Again, the note: forgiveness. A pattern was emerging, a chilling realization that sent shivers down the spines of Harmony Ridge's residents. This wasn't random. This was the work of a calculating, meticulous killer. Harmony Ridge became a town haunted by its own shadow. The once bustling streets were now eerily deserted after dark. Parents kept their children indoors, their laughter replaced by an unsettling silence. The carefree spirit of Harmony Ridge had vanished, replaced by a palpable fear. Every knock on the door, every creak in the night, sent hearts racing. The killer walked among them, a phantom preying on their fear. Who would be next? The question lingered in the air, a suffocating blanket of dread smothering the town's hope. Section 5: Detective Harris and the Task Force. As fear tightened its grip on Harmony Ridge, a sense of urgency pulsed through the town's small police force. Overwhelmed and outmatched, they called for help. Enter Detective Jack Harris, a seasoned investigator from the state capitol, renowned for his sharp mind and unorthodox methods. With steely blue eyes that seemed to see right through you, and a quiet intensity that commanded attention, Harris exuded an aura of competence that offered a glimmer of hope to the terrified town. Harris, along with a specially assembled task force, descended upon Harmony Ridge. Their mission to stop the killer before he could claim another victim. The pressure was immense, the stakes higher than ever, and... Section 6: Unearthing the Ghosts of the Past. Harris, a firm believer in understanding the why behind the who, delved into the lives of the victims. He immersed himself in their past, meticulously piecing together the puzzle of their lives. There had to be a connection, a common thread that linked them. And then, it hit him. Emily Rose, the seemingly innocent schoolteacher, had been a key witness in a hit-and-run case years ago. The accused, the former mayor's son. He had walked free, his wealth and influence ensuring his escape from justice. A chilling realization dawned on Harris. The killer wasn't seeking random victims. They were enacting their own twisted form of retribution. Section 7. The Stain of Justice. The breakthrough came unexpectedly, a tiny detail overlooked in the initial investigation. A speck of paint, a peculiar shade of metallic blue, found on the shoe of the second victim. The paint, Harris discovered, was a rare type used exclusively by a handful of auto repair shops in the surrounding area. The killer, it seemed, had been careless. The list of suspects narrowed, each name a heart-stopping possibility. The tension in Harmony Ridge was almost unbearable as the investigation intensified. The killer was closing in, their twisted sense of justice about to claim another victim. Section 8. The Wheels of Justice Turn. The auto repair shop connection led them to Tom Fletcher, a quiet mechanic with a troubled past. He was known around town as a man of few words, someone who kept to himself and focused on his work. But beneath the surface, there was a story of pain and loss that few knew about. He had lost his wife in a hit-and-run accident years ago. The driver was never found. The incident had left him shattered, a shell of the man he once was. Every day, he visited the memorial he had set up for her, a small corner of the world where he could still feel her presence. Fletcher seemed like the perfect fit, a man driven to the brink by grief and a thirst for vengeance. His colleagues often noticed the faraway look in his eyes, the way he would sometimes pause in the middle of his work, lost in thought. It was as if he was constantly reliving that tragic night, unable to move on. But something didn't feel right to Harris. The detective had a gut feeling that there was more to the story. He had seen too many cases where the obvious suspect turned out to be a pawn in a much larger game. Harris knew he had to dig deeper, to look beyond the surface. Fletcher was a skilled mechanic, meticulous and careful. His attention to detail was unmatched, and he took pride in his work. It was hard to imagine someone like him making a mistake, especially one that would leave such an obvious clue. The paint chip felt like a deliberate clue, a red herring designed to mislead. Harris couldn't shake the feeling that someone was trying to frame Fletcher, to divert attention away from the real culprit. The detective had seen this tactic before, and he knew he had to follow his instincts. His instincts led him to David Hallman, the owner of the auto repair shop where Fletcher worked. Hallman was a man who exuded confidence and charm, but there was something about him that didn't sit right with Harris. The detective decided to take a closer look at Hallman's background. Hallman, a seemingly upstanding citizen, had a secret, a history of violence and a talent for manipulation. He had built a reputation as a successful businessman, but beneath that facade was a man who would stop at nothing to get what he wanted. He had used his influence to cover up his crimes, leaving a trail of broken lives in his wake. Harris knew that uncovering the truth about Hallman would be no easy task, but he was determined to see justice served. The wheels of justice were turning, and Harris was ready to follow them wherever they led. Section 9. Confession, Trial and Healing. The evidence against Hallman was overwhelming. Every piece of evidence, from the fingerprints to the DNA samples, painted a clear picture of his guilt. The prosecution had a watertight case, leaving no room for doubt. Confronted with the weight of his crimes, he confessed. Hallman broke down during the interrogation, his voice trembling as he recounted his actions. The room was thick with tension as he detailed each crime, his eyes reflecting a mix of remorse and defiance. His motive? A twisted sense of justice, a belief that he was delivering divine retribution to those who had escaped punishment. He saw himself as an avenger, righting the wrongs of a flawed system. This delusion drove him to commit unspeakable acts, believing he was a savior in a world of sinners. The trial was swift, the verdict a foregone conclusion. The jury, after hearing the overwhelming evidence and Hallman's own confession, took little time to deliberate. The courtroom was silent as the judge read the verdict, the weight of justice palpable in the air. Hallman was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. The gavel's strike echoed through the room, sealing his fate. As he was led away in handcuffs, there was a sense of closure, but also a lingering unease about the darkness that had been revealed. With Hallman behind bars, a collective sigh of relief swept through Harmony Ridge. The community, which had been living in fear, could finally breathe again. Meetings were held to discuss the future, and there was a renewed sense of unity among the townspeople. The nightmare was finally over. Celebrations were modest but heartfelt, as people began to reclaim their lives. The streets, once deserted, started to fill with laughter and chatter again. Yet beneath the surface, the trauma lingered. But the scars ran deep. The emotional wounds left by Hallman's actions would take time to heal. Families who had lost loved ones, friends who had been betrayed, all carried the weight of those dark days. Therapy sessions and support groups became a common sight. The town's innocence had been shattered, replaced by a newfound awareness of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. Harmony Ridge was no longer the idyllic place it once was. The residents were more cautious, more aware of the fragility of their peace. Life went on, but it was a different Harmony Ridge now, forever marked by the specter of the forgiveness killer. Memorials were erected, and the town's history was forever altered. The legacy of Hallman's crimes would serve as a grim reminder of the darkness that can reside in the most unexpected places.